Good morning, Austin Lean.
Good morning,
From
Tyler.
Las Vegas.
That's right.
Las Vegas, baby.
Nice and early, almost 10 o'clock over here on a Sunday.
Yeah, that's my boy. It's a good time.
That's right.
Guys, welcome to the morning pod, the morning show podcast. I'm your host, TY. This is my co-host, Austin Lean. And we're here today on this beautiful Sunday because we had nothing better to do.
That's right.
So why not, right?
Let's do a show.
Yeah. So next week we'll kind of be sticking to a schedule, and that'll be the schedule from here on out, or from here going forward. But we do have a lot to talk about today. Before we get to that, we are brought to you by Bonk's Bar in Philadelphia. So if you're ever in the area and you're craving some seafood, some trivia, or just some Producer Jack, head on over because they got some great stuff over there. So also by Showcase Cinemas, support your local theaters. Come on. Get out there, support your local theaters. They always supported you. Whether you wanted popcorn, whether you wanted this giant 20-liter soda for $22, they always supported you.
That's right. Best story I have from a cinema is that I went, to the latest showing of like a really, indie film. Nobody was in the theater.
Right.
And it was, like I said, it was the latest, like 10:45. Theater was about to close. And I went to go order the popcorn, and they're like, "Do you just want like the leftover popcorn?" And I was like, it was me and my friend. We're like, "Heck yeah!" So they literally fill up a theater trash bag, filled with popcorn, and just give it to support them, guys. Come on,
that's amazing.
Who doesn't want a trash bag?
You're walking into the theater with a trash bag of
a trash bag.
Wait, were you leaving the theater or were you going in?
No, I was going in. We got to sit there, eat that thing through the movie, take it home.
That's a great time.
Oh,
that's a great. How old were you?
Oh gosh, that was probably like 15. Me and my friend.
That's a great time.
Yeah,
that's just amazing stuff there. Because you're just a kid in a candy shop at that point.
Exactly. Yeah.
But yeah, so got some topics today. Make sure you guys like and subscribe as well. Share your opinions. We're always wanting to hear what you guys say. You guys are the most important part. Become a patron. Special shout out to Odd, that one, Carlos, Caden Reed, and Nick DePalma for being those guys so far. But all the links are in the description. With that being said, Justice Con's been going on.
That's right. It happened yesterday and Friday.
Yeah, so Justice Con, it's over now, right? There's no Sunday? Oh, no, there is a Sunday.
There is a Sunday. They're doing Army of the Dead today.
Oh, okay. So the Justice is done. Now we're jumping into Army territory.
Correct.
So today's like the guys like Dave Bautista and whoever else is joining. I've been a little busy this weekend, so Austin's been, doing the catching up of Justice Con and all that stuff. How's it been? How's Justice Con doing?
It's been good. It's been awesome, to hear. Obviously, they had Ray Fisher yesterday and Ray Porter, and then Zack Snyder, the man himself. Also, Henry Lennox. Cool to hear their stories about how things were done. Henry, not Harry. Is it Henry? Henry or Harry?
No, it's Harry.
Harry? Okay.
Harry Lennox. Yeah.
Harry Lennox. Yeah. So it's cool to hear their stories, and Zach was there. Chris Terrio was the surprise guest. So they got
so he stayed for a panel.
He showed up probably for like the last 25-30 minutes of the Zack Snyder panel.
Oh,
and
cool.
So it was,
yeah, that's very cool.
So they talked about their influences for the films and all that type of stuff, and it was cool. It was really cool to hear just more information from behind the scenes.
Right. Well, so there's a little controversy coming. I suppose not a little controversy, but just something to talk about. I guess is because I was on Twitter last night and I was just scrolling through, and I saw from Lightcast, I saw that Zack Snyder and Chris Terrio both confirmed. So when we use that word, we need to definitely be cognizant of the language that the people used in whatever they say. So Lightcast confirmed that Chris Terrio and Zack Snyder both said that they would return to Warner Brothers. However, that I went and looked again this morning. And that was, I didn't look into it further. I didn't do anything like that,
Right.
but I went looking for that so I could show it here today, and it was deleted. So I'm assuming that they didn't confirm that.
Yeah, I
mean, you watched it. Did they confirm?
I was watching it live. I didn't get any sense of a confirmation.
Right.
They did ask him straight up, how do you feel about Restore the Snyderverse, and would you return? And they never said the words yes. Zach basically repeated what he's always been saying. He would never close those doors.
Right.
And that would be, and smart guy as he is, yeah, it would be, for him to just say flat out no, or obviously if they've approached him or whatever, he's not allowed to talk about it, and he's not saying anything. But
right.
I didn't get
any the words never came out of their mouths.
Confirmation.
Right. So those words never came out of Zack Snyder or Chris Terrio's mouth saying, I would 100% come back to do and restore the Snyderverse, because that's basically the picture that Lightcast painted. And I didn't look into it further due to me trusting their word on it. So, I mean, that's all I'm saying is, I went in and tried to look for it again this morning, and they must have deleted it. Mistakes happen. I'm not blaming Lightcast or anything like that, but I mean, we do have to be a little bit careful with the things that we put out on social media. When we use the words confirm, we need to vet the source. We need to vet the source. We need to watch it for ourselves, and we need to make a decision based on that, and decide for ourselves: was there confirmation? Was the language based in this kind of way, that kind of way? And you need to make that call for yourself. And I just think it was the wrong call, maybe, or something like that.
Yeah.
So again, it definitely brings us down to the point.
It definitely, it gets the fan base excited when you're say something like that, and it's not. You go back and it's not necessarily confirm anything with those words. Yes, 100. So yeah. So you definitely want to, take it with a grain of salt.
Right. I mean, because we had Lightcast on yesterday. Clearly, we're in good spirits with them. I just, I will always do my job first as well, though. And I'll always talk about it. They always talk about it. I always talk about it. We just got to be more cognizant with these things. So overall, today starts the Army of the Dead panel, Army of the Dead panels, sorry. And that should be really fun. That's a new addition to Justice Con, is, something outside of Justice League. So in the second year, they're already expanding and focusing. I mean, this is the year of Zack Snyder, if I ever saw one.
Yeah, right. Exactly. He's got
two
Army of the Deads this year, Justice League. That's something they did announce. They are going to do some IMAX charity screenings of Justice is Gray, the Justice League Justice is Gray edition.
Ooh.
I think in July. So that you can go on. I think it's I gotta look it up. What charity site?
Yeah,
you can go to donate and get your tickets and all that fun stuff.
Hell yeah. There is some. So we finally found out, but Zach did finally confirm yesterday that Wayne T. Carr is in fact and was in fact John Stewart's Green Lantern. Right.
So, not only did he confirm that, I guess that was the other big surprise. He did say Kilowog was going to be next to him in that scene with Ben Affleck at the end. It's going to be Kilowog and John Stewart.
Yeah. So and we saw a dead Kilowog in the nightmare sequence. So I think that was going to be a setup for him. So we see him once dead in the nightmare, and then we see him alive at the end. So you can kind of put it together how that would happen. All right. Well, yeah, I met Kilowog, and I could see how he potentially was dead in the nightmare because he was clearly keen on coming down to Earth.
Right.
So that would make sense. So Wayne T. Carr tweeted out last night, and several other cast members of the Justice League, showed, Wayne T. Carr is Green Lantern. And I thought that was really cool. Wayne, if you're watching, which I know you're probably not, but, I asked you to come on the show. So make that call, make that decision. Let's go. Let's get you on. I'm actually a fan of Wayne's in general.
Right.
So he's a teacher
seen
as well.
Much of him. Right. I haven't seen or heard much of him, but Zach was talking how his like a very Shakespearean actor, and I'm a massive Shakespeare. Like Shakespeare's my all-time.
Yeah,
I love Shakespeare, so that immediately I'm like, oh, this guy's gonna be good. I was like, as soon as he said that.
Yeah, and I think that'd be really fun to get him on and talk about, because I don't really like, if I ever talk to a guest, like I really don't like to do just one. Okay, let's just talk Justice League, right?
Right.
No, that's not what I want to do. I want to talk about your life. I want to talk about your career. I want to talk about what makes you tick, what makes you not, like what turns you off in a role, what turns you on in a role.
Yeah,
I don't like to just talk about one thing. Like I feel like a lot of the interviewers in this fandom, or the people that do interview, all they ever want to talk about is Justice League. Well,
right. I
mean, that's not all people want to talk about. They've been in other roles. They want to talk about other roles. They spent years on some of these characters that never get brought up once you're in a DC project. Or a Marvel project.
Or any of these
big fandom properties, Right. Once you've entered that, once you become a character in one of these big fandoms, no one ever wants to talk about any character besides that character that you become. And I find that, I mean, in some cases, they've spent longer on other characters.
Right. You look at, I think probably my favorite is, Harrison Ford in Star Wars.
Yeah, Jesus.
He is so clearly sick and tired of people asking him about Han Solo,
Yeah, I would be too. Would you? Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, he's done so many other great movies. I mean, I don't think people realize he played like Tom Clancy characters for like 10 years.
Yeah. So if someone asked you to come on the show and said, I want to talk about your life and career.
Right.
And then they stick the whole question list to Indiana Jones or Star Wars, like, how's that going to make you feel?
Right. You're not going to want to. You don't want to.
You didn't want to talk to me about my life and career. You wanted to talk to me about Star Wars and Indiana Jones.
Exactly.
That's it. Just be transparent.
Yep.
Don't lie to me and then make me feel like I came here with all this stuff to, try to remember it all, because, I'm almost 65 years old. I have to actively try to remember this stuff. And now I'm only going to use that little portion of it.
Right, exactly. Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I think a lot of these actors, they get put in a box, in this box of.
And I think that's why most actors are hesitant to sign to these big long contracts. I mean, maybe that's not the exact reason, but that's definitely in the back of their mind. Like, cool. Well, now every minute of every day, I'm going to have to deal with paparazzi if I didn't already.
I mean, yeah, you look at like Sebastian Stan from Falcon says people walk up to him in the street and start reciting the stupid Russian phrase all the time, thinking he's going to turn into Winter Soldier. I'm like, dude, if that were me, I would probably get to the point of punching people.
Rusted.
Like, oh yeah, see,
imagine someone walked up to you on the street and started saying those that it's like the 15 phrases.
By the third time, I would be like in all the papers because I attacked the paparazzi or I attacked the fan. Like,
wow, I couldn't believe that. I didn't even think about that. That's true.
Right. I mean, these guys, they can't go out in public without being bombarded with this crap,
Right. So yeah, that's a big deal in Hollywood is your life becomes pretty transparent to the public. And Ben Affleck, we saw what that could do to someone.
Yeah.
We really did see what that could do to someone in the sense that, he had alcoholic tendencies before it. And I know a lot about the that side of life. And I couldn't imagine if that going on as well. Like also now you have to worry about the paparazzi taking a picture of you at 5 a.m. when you're in sweatpants.
I remember one time the paparazzi, they were like taking picture of him and his kids going to church. Him and his kids and it's just like, leave the man alone.
That's so scary.
Like, yeah,
that's so scary.
I mean, I understand too why a lot of celebrities they have houses in the UK or in Australia or in places that
like in the middle of the woods in Maine.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's where I would live.
Understandable. Right. Yeah.
So I mean, maybe probably tomorrow we'll talk about Justice Con a little bit more in depth and probably mostly Army of the Dead stuff. I really don't think there's too much more about the Justice League production that we can get into. I mean, we've really talked about it all over the course of this past year, especially.
Yeah.
I don't think there's anything else that the cast and crew could even say, right? It's like, what's new? I don't think there's much that could be left, on the floor at this point. Of course, it would be great to talk to Zach, but again, if I ever got the chance to talk to Zach, I wouldn't just talk about the DC stuff. I would love to talk to him about the production of 300.
Yeah, the solid hour is 300 and Watchmen for me. Like those two, because those were. I know a lot of people saw Dawn of the Dead first. I was obviously 7, when that came out. So for me, the first one I saw, and under, my mom didn't know, was 300, and that was
right.
Dude, this is incredible,
Yeah.
So yeah, he's done so many other things that I would love to talk to him about.
Yeah, that's the thing with these guys, is they're not just one track.
Yeah.
But here's something interesting. All right, so we talked about it the other day with Matt Jarbo. However, we weren't live. It was a conversation that we had after the fact. And so I'm a big Joe Rogan fan. I don't know where you stand on that, but I would like to talk about him today.
Yeah.
What's your, okay, before we get into it, what is your stance? What do you think about when you think about Joe Rogan? What are the first things that come to your mind?
Wow, the first thing that comes to my mind when I think, I probably the first thing that comes. I don't know. I don't have a lot of. I do like him. I enjoy his show most of the time, especially if it's a guest I'm interested in. Probably the first thing that comes to mind is I know he's the number one podcaster, YouTuber out there. Whether you like him or not, people watch him.
Yeah,
that's the thing.
Yeah,
is even the people that are out there going, I hate Joe Rogan, man. He's blah blah blah. They're still watching him.
Yeah,
they're still watching him. So,
yeah, for sure.
For me, I enjoy it. I enjoy the conversations. That's the thing. He has conversations. It's not interviews. Even though he's talking about you said people's lives and their careers and stuff. It's very relaxed. It's very conversational, and I think people are attracted to that.
Yeah, I think he does a great job, and he's a very busy guy. I don't see him being able to prepare much for these interviews or shows.
Right.
Some days he'll have 2 shows back to back, right? Mm-hmm. Back to back. He'll do a podcast with, Eric Weinstein, and then right after that will be Joey Diaz.
Right.
And those are 2 obscure choices, because those interviews wouldn't have much preparation anyway. But it just doesn't seem like he has too much time to sit and actually all right, well, I'm gonna have on Wayne T. Carr. All right, so I'm gonna go watch 4 hours of Justice League just to know that he's not in it, right? Just to know that he's not actually in it, but so I can talk about it. So I don't feel like he can do a lot of that. So the sense that he can walk into a show, sit down with minimal preparation, and have it sound so relaxed. And I think that's because he's a natural, whether it's his Days of Fear Factor, calling UFC, whatever it is, he's a great interviewer.
I will say I did enjoy his UFC
I take a lot of what I do from him.
Yeah.
I base a lot of how I frame things or how I do things, from Joe.
He's one of the best. I'll be honest. I was one of those advocates. I wanted to see him moderate the presidential debate.
Me too. I'm 100% on board with that.
I was like, man, that would have been.
Get rid of these guys from Fox News.
Right. Yeah, that are getting overrun by Joe would have been like, both of you shut up. Let me ask a question. And I would have been like, yeah.
I feel like Joe would have a hard time not stepping in. That's the thing.
That's true.
I really think that Joe would have a hard time. Yeah.
He'd give his opinion midway.
I really do. I really do.
But but that's the thing. Whether you like him or not, people would still want to hear his opinion,
Yeah. And I think that's what would let people down if he ever did the presidential debate, would be that you don't get to hear Joe's input on it.
He'd have to do an immediate live
his input is
show.
Actually I don't really care for his political views.
Yeah.
I'm not a big Joe Rogan politics guy. I don't really care for when he does it, when he talks about politics. Those are the parts where I kind of skip over. But I like when he talks about DMT. I've had several experiences myself. You know, I like when he talks about mushrooms. I mean, I was a younger person at one point. You know, I wasn't always this well put together person you see in front of you.
With the beautiful background.
With the beautiful new background, yeah. I've taken psychedelic drugs. I've taken other drugs. I've experienced life in ways that some people never get to. And I truly believe that those are the experiences that after you've experienced it, the next day you wake up with a different view, right?
Yeah.
So I might have the previous day to doing mushrooms or any psychedelic drug, you don't really care or even want to know why the trees exist. But the day after, you know why they exist, right? It's some of those experiences that really get you in tune with the world around you. And I feel like that's where religion comes from. I really do. I feel like that's where religion comes from because it makes sense. Like when else would you see God come down and talk to you and give you the 10 Commandments? DMT, I'm pretty sure. Right?
Well, that's the thing.
Burning bush.
Right.
The burning bush might have been one of the bushes that are highly, highly potent in DMT.
Right.
So what if he was having a DMT trance? So what if he went into a DMT trance? Right, that's the burning bush, and then all of a sudden he's talking to God. Well, that would make sense because for 15 minutes you're gone. You are not yourself. Yeah. You're not. You are no longer Austin Leon.
It's an interesting concept. I've never done DMT. I've done LSD and mushrooms and all that stuff. But
this is a safe space.
Yeah,
this is a safe space to talk about it. We're okay.
Right. And like you said, I was.
We're younger. I wouldn't honestly. I probably wouldn't do it. Like LSD, I probably wouldn't do ever again. Mushrooms potentially. It would have to be the right time. Oh, I've done it way more than twice. But I've done all of them way more than twice, but never over 10 times. And we were younger. I'm 28 years old now, and I like to experience like. Other ones are like salvia. Salvia, you'd be surprised because 1 second you're here, the next second you're gone, and then the next second you're back. And in that 3 seconds, you've experienced a life. It's crazy. It's absolutely wild. Wild to me, at least.
I mean, but like you said, kind of connecting it to religion and stuff. I think it's an interesting concept, but I think that for me, it's still one of those things like. How wild of a coincidence, that person was there at that time, that happened, they saw that, and it led to all that, the burning bush led to an exodus, even like, let's say Noah was on something or whatever, he built an ark, people called him crazy, but a flood happened, that's historically.
And most we talked about that with the alien stuff. Most cultures have record of a flood, a large flood, like not just your basement flooded, but like the world, or like most continents having some sort of flood. So those are the things that you can look at religion, take them out, and say, okay, I can find that across all religions, right?
Right.
Most likely that's the truth, right?
Right.
There's some form of truth in it.
Exactly.
So we can probably say that there was some sort of flood, back in the day.
Exactly.
Right. But the other stuff, like, some of the crazy stuff that was in the Old Testament, like you can't wear 2 types of cloth. That's silly.
2 types of wool. Yeah.
That's silly.
Right. There's
popes used to have wives and control armies. Now they're the Pope. I mean, what do you expect? Look at them. They sit in this. They sit in the Vatican for most of the year and just, I don't know. I don't really know what they do.
Right.
I don't. But yeah, so Joe's been taking some heat lately, though.
Right.
He's been taking a lot of heat lately.
He has. And it's interesting. It's one of those age-old questions, especially when you're somebody like Joe or Zack Snyder or any of these people that have such a dedicated, massive fan
Ooh,
base.
that would be a really good podcast.
Joe and Zack Snyder.
Joe and Zack Snyder, because Joe's a buffoon when it comes to like superhero stuff. He likes it, but he's a buffoon. He'll like some of this, like he'll start getting into nerd culture, and I know he's wrong about something. And it takes 20 minutes for Jamie to correct him, and I'm like,
I knew that. Right? Yeah.
You know, like I wish I was there and been like, no, Joe, this is how it goes. Hold on.
Exactly.
You know,
that would be a cool interview. But it's that age-old question of, you know, the fan base is asking you, did he sell out? You know.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things. Obviously, earlier in the week, he had, I think, over 30 episodes taken off.
Yeah, it's over 40.
Over 40.
So yeah, it's 42 to be exact. But
wow, and that's a
lot of episodes to disappear.
Like, I know it seems out of a big number, but that's a lot.
That is a lot. That's a lot of hours spent. 42 episodes.
You think of a Joe Rogan podcast as
they're 3-4 hours long.
Right, exactly.
3-4 hours long, and there's some really like deep conversation in there, and there's a lot of not a lot of prep work, but that's a lot of that's sensory. That is sensory that's sensory. So a lot of the employees at Spotify don't like Joe, right?
Okay.
A lot of them. They don't like Joe. They don't like his show. They don't like the boys club that Joe's show has created. And they don't care for the male toxicity or, you know, whatever they call it. And you know, so that has led to certain things. Should Joe have gone to Spotify? I don't think so. I don't think the payday was worth the sensory. And it's not like Joe was doing, you know, was barely scraping by before he signed on with Spotify.
Right.
So,
he was, no, absolutely. But it's this, it took him from a to ultra wealthy, you know, his net worth now. He was probably worth around 50 million. And then they gave him 100 million. So, I mean, you have to think about it. It's 3 times what he's worth. Or and 2 times what he's worth. 3 times. Exactly. A lot of people compared it to, you know, the Howard Stern exit from radio to Sirius XM. Right. You know, he lost a lot of his audience, but his net worth through the roof. Yeah. You know, so it's one of those things. You know, is Rogan giving up his cultural like relevance for the money? I mean, I don't know. He hasn't made a statement, I don't think, on it. No. You know, which I think is interesting. Because he's usually the type of guy that like, oh, Spotify took 40 of my episodes down, you know?
Yeah, I'd be really interested to see what he says about that.
Yeah.
Because he would have to toe a line. He'd have to toe a certain line, not to get like, because they would probably just censor that as well. Right. Be like, you got to take that down.
Yeah, exactly. Or whatever, breach his contract. You know, there's so many logistics to it. So I'm curious to see how he responds. You know, there was a lot of his fans on Twitter were talking about how, you know, hey, anybody, I think one person, you know, actually said, anybody not listen to Joe since he went to Spotify? And a bunch of people were like, yep, we haven't listened to him.
Yeah, I mean, they still do like clips on YouTube. Like, so it'd be like a 20-minute clip. And he's still pulling in a good amount of money from YouTube because they have, it's called JRE clips, and they'll do like, it'll be like how Joe's show is set up is they'll get into certain topics and like they'll clip that as a segment,
right?
You know,
exactly.
So it'll be, you know, anywhere from 10 minutes, 5 minutes to 22 minutes, 27 minutes. So they'll clip it, and then you can just watch that on YouTube. And I find that that's pretty convenient. Absolutely. And then if you want to hear the rest of the episode, then you go.
You go to Spotify, exactly.
Which is actually something I would consider doing in the future, if that's how it worked. Because I don't think podcasts have a future on YouTube. I don't. I'm a firm believer in that they don't.
So what do you think? What do you think YouTube will be then? Just
I think YouTube will be for YouTube's going to become a rival for TikTok. They're going to be direct rivals, right? YouTube's a little bit more long form than TikTok. TikTok's more instant gratification, but they'll be rivals in a certain way because it's video production, video platform, right? But places like Spotify, I think, should allow podcasters or any content creator, whether you're an artist, to do a video as well, right? They did test it out. They're testing it out now with these bigger podcasts like Joe Rogan. So when they make that available to the public, I think a lot of podcasts will pull out of YouTube. YouTube's not a friendly place. Like, they're not friendly to content creators. Yeah. Just plain and simple.
Right.
We got flagged for using, I think, for using a WrestleMania, a clip of Undertaker. You know, that's stupid. That's nonsense.
I think you're right in the sense that that's a better idea. You know, good idea is the clips. You know, people like. Or even you look at these shows like Hot Ones is 30 minutes long, or, you know, the time frame, I think, when you're watching a video, you know, people's attention span, I don't think is, unless you really, really like Joe Rogan, I don't think I've ever watched a full episode of Joe Rogan all the way through.
Whereas I have watched almost every one of them.
Okay, right. Yeah. So, yeah, mega fan. Right.
Right. So, but there are different people on the planet. Like, I have a long attention span. And I am very aware of that. I can sit. I actually prefer to sit, and I would rather watch something for 2 hours than 20 minutes. Right. Well, that's the person I've always been.
Right. I mean, definitely if it's a topic I like I've always been the person, like, I enjoyed long lectures, like in school and stuff. If it was a topic I liked, I was on the edge of my seat. I enjoyed that type of stuff. I took a lot of notes and I was really interested. But yes, so I think Joe sometimes he can be, for me, a little he gets a little much, I think, after a certain amount of time.
Yeah, I mean, he's always okay. So I could do without the UFC stuff. I'll be honest with you. I don't watch the fight companions because I don't watch the fights. Right. So I don't need a companion for a fight that I didn't watch.
Right. Yeah.
And he does tend to bring it to UFC a lot, but that's part of his life. So I don't, you know, if I did UFC, if I called UFC fights, I would probably talk about them.
It's like how we end up usually in the end talking about movies. Yeah. You know?
And I just that for something like that, I understand, but I just skip over those parts, or I try not to talk about it. And wait, what is it? Oh, so he's saying that Spotify isn't friendly either. Really? So if you could elaborate on that, I would love to know more. Because I find Spotify to be pretty not friendly. I guess I haven't really dabbled too much with them. In the sense that, you know, the podcast host that I use does all the work with Spotify. I don't really talk to Spotify at all, but I listen to it a lot. So I would be interested in that. I do know that it's pretty hard to get on like a playlist as a musician, but I don't understand what that means. Get on a playlist.
Well, they have, you know, if you use Spotify, they're pretty popular. They have curated playlists, you know, top indie music, top rock, top hip hop. That's not just your mainstream.
But who makes those playlists? Who's the playlist maker?
Probably, I don't. That's the details I don't know. I would assume the people at Spotify, or they.
Who makes the playlists at Spotify?
Reveal yourself.
Who's the judge? Is it you? Is it the numbers? Who's the maker?
I don't know what the algorithm is. I mean, that would be something that I would be very interested, you know, to know if anybody in the comments or anybody knows information. Or
it's Sunday.
If you're watching in the comments,
don't expect too much on a Sunday, kid.
Hey man,
you never know. It's not a great. Sundays are tough for engagement.
You
that's
never
all right
know.
Though.
Spotify CEO is watching.
Yeah, right. He's one of the few people. But that's the thing is I don't care because I don't. This is a last minute show. We weren't even going to do it, but I'd be interested to know who makes the playlist at Spotify and who determines what music gets put into a curated playlist. And because for a lot of musicians to be on one of those playlists would probably make their career. right? Because
Absolutely.
now you got people listening to you that you would never have listened to before.
Exactly. I will say, actually, I just heard from a friend of mine that, and he was talking to me that he said he'll never, and he's a manager of a few musicians that, he said he'll never pay to get them on a playlist again, because, so maybe it's not people at Spotify, maybe they're actual
so you can
individuals.
pay to get on a playlist.
Absolutely. Yeah.
If you get the money.
That's a very known thing. But I think it may be that these playlists are curated by individuals, and it's not always trusted that you pay that you're going to be put on there or whatever. I don't know.
Right.
So
it's kind of like the college admission scandal.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, you can pay to get an extra look from the school, but doesn't mean you're getting in.
Except it's more accepted. It's far more in that.
So, but Eminem's not going to pay to get on one of these playlists. He's going to get put on regardless because he's Eminem. Exactly. So if I'm big enough, I don't have to pay anyway. So for an average musician,
mm-hmm.
how much would it take to get on one of these playlists, do you think? So Ill Life says they also pay lowest per stream. So I don't know how it works with pod distros. To get on a curated playlist with real recognition,
correct,
you're talking in thousands, but you can get some decent ones for like $400 or $500. But that's fucking crazy. Pay $400 to $500 just to get on a playlist that you don't even know is going to bring you anything.
Correct. And I think that's why, like, I think some of these things, I
find that really like disturbing. That the fate of your music. Say you're a really good music creator. Say you're really talented.
Absolutely.
But you financially struggle. You're just starting out, or maybe not even just starting out, but you find it hard in a day when the market is so saturated to get noticed. Spotify is taking but then you got on the opposite hand, you have someone who's not that good but has a lot of money. Well, who's getting on the playlist? It's probably the guy that's not as good with a lot of money. And it's not the guy who's really good with a little money. And that's what causes issues is, and that's not just music. That's not just the music industry.
Absolutely.
That's a lot of places. The person that maybe deserves it gets overlooked by the person who, say, comes from a family of money. Right? Because they can just pay your way, right?
Exactly.
Chet Hanks shouldn't be a rapper. I finally actually did it. I listened to Chet Hanks' music, and it was the worst experience of my life. It was the worst experience I've ever had in my life. It was the worst. Chet Hanks shouldn't be a rapper. However, he is. And I'm sure it's because he has money, right? He didn't have to go through the struggle of ill life, the same struggle ill life goes through. He didn't have to go through the same struggle that our friend Evan has to go through, right? They don't have to go on these struggles because they have money. So they just instantly my name's Chet Hanks. I'm Tom Hanks' son, and I'm a rapper now. And then people generally say, okay, he's a rapper.
I just love how you brought it back to Chet. I completely forgot about Chet Hanks. And you look at that girl. You remember that song? It's Friday. How the hell did she get, a song made? Like in a music video and all this crazy stuff. Like,
or Cash Me Outside Girl.
Oh,
she's a rapper now, and she spells her name. She can't even spell her name correctly. It's like bad something or. So one of his first singles, Substance, he paid almost $300 for what is a playlist. So he paid $300 for $4.
Exactly. So YouTube. So you think YouTube? And real quickly, what's your experience been with YouTube? Out of curiosity.
Yeah, I'd be interested to know what your interactions with YouTube has been. I know YouTube is a good. So if you're garnering more views on YouTube, it's a good place to be.
Yeah.
And it's a good, your revenue can be maybe you don't need 700,000 subscribers as long as your videos are doing well, right?
Yeah.
So that's the thing about YouTube, I suppose, that puts it in a different bracket as Spotify, because on Spotify, plays are everything. If people aren't playing it, aren't following it, you're gonna struggle.
Yeah, exactly.
But I guess if I didn't follow somebody, maybe it's the same thing. But
I'm
money's
not sure how
different.
the Spotify algorithm works.
I'm gonna fill my coffee, but maybe you could explain. I mean, you have a little bit of a background with music, right?
Yeah.
So what's been your experience with, like, not your personal, but what have you seen, like, from younger creators? Is it? Do you think the market's hard? Do you think the market's hard on them?
I
or
do.
Should they just impersonate and do cover bands and go play in Vegas?
It's right. Yeah. It's one of those things that it's like, I think the market is tough, and I think a lot of places everybody's
listening.
Cool. Everybody's trying to be a musician or a YouTuber or a filmmaker. So yeah, I do think it's pretty saturated, but I think the thing that I've found is the more people that you can find in your area, whether locally or whatever, the more people that you can find that's like on the same track as you, that you can work with, that you can collaborate with, I think I've seen more success, in that. And I get everybody has the mindset of like, you want to be the best and you want to, be number one and all that. But I think I've seen more productive things, and I've seen more attraction, not only from audiences, but even from bigger, slightly bigger artists that reach out and stuff, when it's kind of this collaboration, when you see, oh wow, these people have, a team. You see one rapper, and he's got his own great solo stuff, and then he's also got a lot of these features that that also are phenomenal. You go and listen to those guys too, and then you realize, oh, they all kind of work together. They're all in a circle. Just trying to get to those 1K subscribes to start that way. Cut out my distro with one company and get direct money from YouTube. Presently, I just get ad revenue. Right. Exactly. Yeah. And that's the thing too, is both. That's the downside with both YouTube, Spotify, whatever you do, right? You're in a place where it's like, where it's YouTube, you got to get 100,000 views to make what, a couple $100. Same thing with Spotify. You got to get millions of plays or whatever to make a couple of bucks.
Shoot.
So it's one of those things that I think is another thing that is why some like patrons become real popular.
Yeah,
people are trying to
for Patreon, right?
Right.
For people who aren't at that monetization level on YouTube, which we're actually just about to hit, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we're a few hours away from hitting, for a few hours away in watch time, because now it used to be that you just needed like 1,000 subs or something like that,
right?
And you could or whatever. I don't know what it was, but now it incorporates watch time. So you need at minimum of 4,000 hours of watch time just to get monetized.
Wow.
Plus 1,000 subscribers. That's a lot of time.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah, it's a lot of time.
That is a lot of time.
And for how much? For how much do you make? That's the thing. And that's the same thing with Spotify. You have to get thousands and thousands or millions of plays for I think so. That's a thing that everybody, that's why I think artists too, another big thing that was so hurtful when the pandemic came, and we talked about it with your friend Still Evan, that doing live shows is a massive help, selling even those $5 tickets. Think about it. You got 10 friends. Those friends bring one person, 10, that's 20 people, 5, you're doing that twice a week, 3 times a week. you're making more money than you are on Spotify or YouTube or any of the, So
yeah,
that was
as a younger content creator or
an
someone
upcoming.
who does music, that specifically would apply to the music end of it.
Exactly.
But people have to be, and then you're also getting your name out there, and people, then after that concert that you say, hey, go check me out on Spotify. They go check them out on Spotify. Maybe they recommend it, yada, yada, yada. The trail goes on. But it all starts, I suppose, with, are we all given a fair opportunity?
Right. And I would say no.
So on these sites like YouTube, on these sites like Spotify, are we all given a fair opportunity from day one? I don't think so. I don't.
Absolutely not.
I do not think so. Yeah.
Absolutely not. And like you said earlier, it's it's one of those things. If you have the money, you're way more likely than to get seen than the kid who actually has talent,
Right. So Ill Life says it. So he's already got the watch time, almost. Which we broke 1,000 subscribers relatively quick.
Right.
But we didn't have the watch time because people were only watching for 15, 20 minutes and then bailing out, which is why we kind of we're adapting formulas. In the morning, more people watch for a longer period of time. I don't know why. I couldn't explain to you why, but
I think people are getting ready. People are, they put their phone up or their TV or their laptop and they start doing their stuff, making breakfast, getting ready. I do that all the time,
Which I had an intuition on, right? Because I've done it myself. So I said, why don't we do something in the morning? I'm always up, right?
Yeah.
I find myself honestly waiting to stream some days. So why am I doing that? There might be an audience for the morning. And then it came to me, okay, well, if we're going to do a morning show, why are we going to limit ourselves to just film and TV or, the normal whatever? And then I decided, well, we don't have to. And I think that's done really well. I think it's something that works. Yeah. And it's working. And we're still finding an audience in the morning, and we're still very much new in the sense of being a YouTube channel or a podcast. We're only 7 months old. We have the subscribe. Like, we were able to break 1,000 relatively quick, right? Within 3 months, we had above the 1,000 mark, which for most people, that's not the case. So we were very lucky in that sense, but you need to know how to be able to turn those subscribers into views, in which case that's not something that we've been able to do relatively easy. And I'll admit that. And then watch time as well. But we're still only 7 months in. And I feel like sometimes the numbers don't reflect it, right? The numbers, when you look at them, like the subscriber count, you're like, oh, maybe probably have been around for like a year and a half, 2 years. Right. But no, we're only around for 7 months. But so we have like the exact opposite problem Ill Life has, right? So we were able to do the subscriber thing, but the watch time kind of wasn't there. And it's getting there now because we do more live streams and more shows that you can interact with.
And I think too, if the more, sometimes we do 2 shows a day, the more options people have, people,
Right.
People watch, and the more diversity. We did a gamer video the other day. We did. So people want to see diversity. People listen to songs over and over. Gives you time.
Well, he's right. And the thing is, you have to be able to adapt and overcome, especially in the YouTube game, because that one day, I don't care how popular. Look at Matt Jarbo, for example.
Right.
During Gamergate, 160,000 subscribers. Right.
Yeah.
After Gamergate, his viewership, his average episode or average video gets around 400, 500, 600 views. Where at one point it was at 160,000. I feel as if he didn't adapt the correct way afterwards, because you very much, I don't care how popular you are at one moment, people are gonna get bored if you're talking about the same thing over and over and over and over. The Snyder Cut, I call it the Snyder Cut void, right? For some of these YouTubers or DC YouTubers, all they talk about is the Snyder Cut.
Yeah,
dude, people are gonna get so sick of it at one point. Like, your average person doesn't want to hear about the Snyder Cut all day.
Right,
they're not like us.
Exactly.
They don't find that interesting. or that's not the only thing that they find interesting. So you need to be able to expand what you're doing in at least the most basic forms. You need to be able to at least talk. Yeah, go ahead. You want to talk about the Snyder Cut every day? All right, we'll find a way to incorporate other things as well.
Right.
Like if you can't not talk about the Snyder Cut, okay. Right? If that's something you love to do, then I don't say don't do it. But find ways to talk about other things.
Right, exactly.
Simple as that. Like we could have done this. We could do this and still end it with the Snyder Cut talk somehow.
Exactly.
So I feel like a lot of people adapting might be their issue.
Yeah, I agree. I think, people put themselves in a box, and, it was one of those things when I started, doing a show earlier this year, my whole concept was, there's a bunch of Marvel stuff coming this year. I think I had read that there is literally going to be Marvel content every single week this year, or almost every week. So I was like,
definitely almost every month.
Right.
It's definitely every month. Is it every week? I couldn't say that because I would say that'll probably be no.
But I think actually we've only missed 1 week so far. There was a week between WandaVision and Falcon.
So yes, that's a good thing to start.
But I have put myself in that box of Marvel. I'm going to rely on Marvel having
and that's
content.
the thing. Even though at one point that's going to end,
right?
You need to be able to learn how to talk about something else.
Exactly. It's like this is a special year for because of the pandemic and all that. I doubt next year we're going to see all this crazy Marvel content. I mean, I could be wrong, but as much as we're seeing now.
Right. And I definitely understand what you're saying, man, for Ill Life. Cause I think the game has changed.
Right.
Being like, and I said, if are we all given the opportunity from day one, I'm being a little biased here, about it, I suppose, but the opportunity that we're given nowadays is substantially, remarkably different than what it was 20 years ago, right? Remarkably.
Absolutely.
Because you're given a platform, or you could have a platform pretty easily. All you really need is a microphone, a webcam, which, I mean, if you're not looking to buy large, you could spend maybe $100 on just those, and then a computer, right? The computer would be like the most expensive thing. But then there you go. That's a platform right there.
And you think about it, really, YouTube is not that old. These sites are not that old. The internet is not that old. 25 years ago, when it was just starting, I don't think you couldn't have guessed that it was going to be. Now people literally rely on the internet to make a career. They go all, you see, remember when Vine ended and all the Viners, they had moved from like the Midwest and all that to LA. It was this massive like exodus of Viners to LA, all of them in competition, trying to become YouTube influencers and make it off YouTube. So
imagine taking that. Imagine you're on a platform like Vine, right?
Right.
You move to LA, Vine dies.
That's exactly what David Dobrik did.
What?
That's exactly what David Dobrik.
But then TikTok comes out.
TikTok. Well, and for David, it wasn't TikTok. It was YouTube.
Oh, he transitioned to YouTube.
Right. Yeah. He went to YouTube.
But okay, so remind me. So I never was on Vine. I don't really know what it was. It was kind of like TikTok, right? It was essentially TikTok.
Essentially, but it was down to, you had 6 seconds. That was the concept.
Jesus.
You have 6 seconds, entertain me and capture me in 6 seconds, right?
See, that's a daunting task.
It's a daunting task, but it's a brilliant idea.
Yeah,
I love the concept of like, you have to grab somebody's attention constantly in 6 seconds,
Yeah, that's a talk about instant gratification, right? When in a world where Amazon can deliver a package the same day,
right?
Now we're with Vine, where you got 6 seconds to capture me. That's like sounds like something out of an Eminem song, right? Like, Eminem back in the day, like I had 6 seconds in a rap battle to ruin this dude, and then obviously in 6 seconds, Eminem spit 150 bars at him in 6 seconds. I feel like that's something out of a crazy song, but
the world's become American Idol judges.
But yeah, I find that daunting because in 6 seconds, I that's not something for me.
Right.
Because I need a longer look. We're at 56 minutes. We haven't even talked about anything. Just kidding. We obviously we obviously have. But no, that's really crazy. And if you can do that, if you can even TikTok, 15 seconds, right? I think it's 15 seconds or 30 seconds. I don't.
Something like. I think it's not 30.
I think you can do up to 15. A minute.
Oh.
I think you can do up to a minute on TikTok.
Okay.
Someone correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure you can do up to a minute on TikTok. We had a TikTok for a little while. It just, again, it's not something for me. It was something for Justice. Justice liked it. I didn't like it. I don't care for it. I'm trying to do a video production, right? I get the green screens out. Yeah. I get the lights out. And then all of a sudden,
behind the scenes, you're setting everybody up with the lav mics and everything.
Wait, did you see that?
Yeah, I saw that behind the scenes video, man. I went back.
Okay, so that's what I like to do, right? I'm getting it all set up. And then all of a sudden, the idea was trash.
Oh no!
And I'm like, what am I doing? I just set all this shit up to do a video that required none of it.
Oh man!
Because it looked worse with the production value.
But it's very interesting, I don't have a TikTok personally, and I'm like you. It's not for me.
I found on TikTok was very young girls doing very inappropriate things, and I'm not lying. Yeah, that's what I saw on TikTok, and I was like, nope.
See, I'll be honest with you. I downloaded the app once and then deleted it. But my friend did a video of me, took a TikTok of me, and it was like kind of a serious thing that like went crazy with views. I think it was like over 10,000 views or something like that. And it was like, I mean, it was also me doing something. Probably, I'm not quite sure it was completely, legal, but but it wasn't anything terrible. Like I can talk about it. I mean, like it wasn't anything.
No, it's like okay.
But it's interesting, to see like how that algorithm works. People like just kind of blow up
I mean, think about that. Think about that. The video's shorter. That's more opportunity for more people to see it at a smaller amount, right?
Yeah.
It's less more often. Whereas YouTube is more less often.
Exactly.
Because I mean, people do live streams on YouTube. People are telling a long form story. It's like streaming versus movies.
Right.
Whereas movies would be long form. Not long form. Movies would be. Well, that's actually a weird concept. Streaming in a TV show. I mean, I guess it depends on is it a movie or a show, but a TV show is long form television. I mean, long form storytelling, whereas a film or a movie is considered limited in capacity of what you can do in that amount of time. So if we look at that and so now we have TikTok versus YouTube. YouTube would be the YouTube. What would YouTube be? So TikTok would be the movie. TikTok would be the movie. YouTube would be the TV show because you're telling it in a longer form, right? And that I think that is I think that's where they differ. So if you're a good content creator on TikTok, are you going to be a good content creator on YouTube? I don't know. And I don't know, are the skills transferable? I don't think so.
And that's the thing. It depends on, like I said, there is literally a massive exodus when Vine ended. There was an exodus of all these Viners that moved to LA.
Viners, that's what they were called.
Viners, yeah, it was, and they moved to LA, and there was literally like a whole street in LA that they all rented out the whole entire apartment. We were all David Dobrik, all these guys, and David is probably the biggest name to make it out of that.
You're right. I don't know any of those. I don't even know him.
That's because he had translated his stuff those 6 seconds into like prank videos, these vlog videos. You know, he's the one that like he filled up his pool with all this giant blue foam and, you know, did all this other crazy stuff. You know?
Right.
So he translated it into that type of content, and people responded. But he's the only one I remember, you know, that's still around. So it definitely it's a transition.
So I mean, I know we were talking about Joe Rogan, right?
Yeah.
I would like to share something here. So, okay, so these are some of the problems that people have with Joe. Okay. And we'll get into it afterwards. All right, so I don't know. Does anyone know who Trish Paytas is here? Trish Paytas is a former stripper. Trish is a former stripper who now does OnlyFans. She, you know, she's a big internet personality. Joe Rogan on the Joe Rogan podcast basically was talking to someone, and they brought Trish up. He didn't know who Trish was. And he said, hey, you know, Jamie, who is the producer of the show, he asked Jamie to show him who Trish was. There was a picture. He said, oh, this is a quote. Show me the one in her bikini. I'd like to see what she looked like naked. When Joe saw her in the bikini, his response was, oh, you can keep that. People didn't take friendly to that the way he worded it in the context, right? So Trish responded with this 8-minute long video calling Joe a toxic male, masculine. He's created a boys club. Why don't you eat a carb? Like she pretty much, what her job is basically, her job is to take things out of and blow them up out of context. So I would like to play both of the clips. And I think I need to find the Joe Rogan clip first. Let me find that first. So
Okay.
Do you know who Trish Paytas is, Austin?
No idea. No clue.
Right,
yeah.
It's interesting because I want to know.
Have you already watched the clips yourself?
Yes, of course I have.
Okay. Yeah.
By the way,
so, yeah.
I'm actually digging Joe's new setup. I think the studio looks so much better than it did when he first got to Austin, because I didn't like it. I didn't like it. But here's the clip. So we're gonna watch the clip of Joe and talking about Trish. So you'll hear him say what I just said. And let's now basically what I'm asking you to do is form an opinion on, is it bad? Was it bad? Should he not have said it?
I was gonna say I better not say anything until I watch it then.
Yeah. So that's what we're gonna do right now. We're gonna find out, should he have said this?
Cool.
Can you hear it?
I do.
Is it a boy?
No, it's a lady.
Oh.
Yeah.
What does she show?
Oh, she shows everything.
What
She's a
OnlyFans is this?
savage. Her name's Trisha Paytas.
And what does she do in her OnlyFans? You know where she is? Do you know who she is, Jamie?
Unfortunately, I do.
Do you follow her too?
I don't follow
So
her.
Jamie,
but I follow
like
the internet, so
Jamie's so hesitant to talk about her.
She's an internet sleuth. She's
A sleuth?
yeah, right. That's the
not
right word.
for
What's
her.
a sleuth? What's a
Sleuth is a
sleuth?
detective.
Yeah.
Oh no, she's not a sleuth.
You don't even read.
She's an internet sloth. I meant to say. I know.
That's a sloth.
I'm grateful to be here.
What's this? What do you mean a sloth
No,
is
I
like
don't-
a lazy person?
I know. Well, no, she's just on the internet. She's an internet
She's a person like you and me.
Oh, I
on the
love
internet.
her. And
We're
she
both
has
on the internet.
Yeah, we are.
So what is the difference between her and I?
She's on every she's on OnlyFans, she's on YouTube, she's everywhere. But her OnlyFans is fun because she just moved into this beautiful house like in the hills somewhere.
Yeah, she has like a
And she shows her pussy.
She did
massive,
a house tour.
massive mansion.
She did a house tour naked. You're getting like this beautiful real estate. You're like, oh, nice cabinetry.
What does this guy look like? Jamie's shaking
Jamie
his
doesn't
head.
want to pull her
Look
up.
here. So
don't
here's the
want to?
problem.
We showed me and not everybody else. We already said her name. Fucking keep me in the dark here, buddy.
Sorry.
So this is where it gets dangerous on Joe's part.
Right.
Dun, dun,
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
She's gone through
That's her?
so many
Wait a
different
minute. That's
phases.
the same person?
Yeah, that's fine.
Now
What
listen,
the hell?
She's a new person every week.
Listen.
She's very entertaining. A lot of
Okay.
people hate her. A
So
lot of people love her, myself.
I would
included.
imagine if you're that kind of person, click on the one of her in her bikini and see how she would look naked. Right down there on the bottom.
yikes.
On the bottom. There you go. Yeah, you can keep that.
I will.
All right. See
So
his
she's one of
reaction?
them-
You see now that comes off really bad in this day and age.
Right.
Because you can tell he looks at her and goes, yeah, okay, never mind. Like I thought he's probably thinking she was some like smoke show, which, for some people, she is a gorgeous woman. She is a little larger, not to lie or anything. She's a bigger boned woman, but not to say she's not beautiful.
Right.
I don't find her to historically, she's not someone I would be attracted to, but that's not to say I couldn't be attracted to her ever. She's just not someone that I would find compatible with myself. But for some people, they really like her. Clearly, she's doing good on OnlyFans.
She's got OnlyFans. Yeah, I was gonna say. Obviously,
she's doing pretty well on OnlyFans, and I commend her for that. I think that to be able to be given a platform like that and do something with it as a girl that doesn't fit the model of what a Victoria's Secret model is. Right. Because that's not real life. Victoria's Secret isn't real life.
Yeah, absolutely not. Absolutely
Abercrombie, the Abercrombie models, those are not real life.
Exactly.
Trish is real life.
Exactly.
Right? For lack of a better term. So I give it to you, girl. You've been doing, you've done a good job of what you've been given. And I think you strut it like you mean it. And I think, confidence is everything this day and age. However,
Absolutely.
Joe, I don't like, I think his reaction could be miscued as dangerous and toxic. I don't find it to be, but I could see why someone would find it to be.
Yeah.
So let's run it back. Now that you've heard it and seen it, really look for the context here.
People hate her.
So
a lot of people love her, myself.
I would
included.
imagine if you're that kind of person, click on the one of her in her bikini and see how she would look naked. Right down there on the bottom. On the bottom. There you go. Yeah, you can keep that.
I will. Yeah.
So she's one of them extroverted people that gets a lot of attention.
For
and
sure.
Wants a lot of attention. So
Yes.
she's probably a good person to follow because she's constantly putting out content.
Yeah, and her OnlyFans too. It's like, how do you have time for everything? Like, her OnlyFans is always updated, doing all these new things. She's making YouTube videos, podcasts, like everything. It's
So her whole day is just pumping out content.
yeah,
And you're there slack jawed eating hot Cheetos.
in
Paying
bed.
attention to her. What is that?
Part of what you're saying.
The dumpster fire that is Trisha paid us.
She just puts out all the content, getting attention for
Yes.
sometimes wrong reasons.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's why you winced.
Yes.
I get it. And you know what's amazing to me? I had no idea she was a person. You know what I mean? Like, probably huge. Probably has millions of followers on everything, right?
Probably gonna make comments about this now.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
I had no idea. But that's what's amazing.
So
about
Jamie
the internet.
knows that she's going. So basically, Jamie just said he knows that she's going to make comments about this. And when he's referring to this, he's obviously referring to what Joe just did.
Right.
Because Jamie's a smart guy. Jamie is probably, I would kill for a producer like Jamie. Jack, step your goddamn game up.
We love each other.
But Jamie knows right off the rip that was not going to come off well, right? He knows, and he's like, yeah, she's probably going to say something about this, and now we'll go see what she says.
Yeah.
She makes an 8-minute long video because you know why? Because she finds a way to make everything bigger, right? That wasn't a bad thing. Like, okay, Joe, yeah, you probably shouldn't have said that.
Yeah.
Come on, Joe. Joe, you got the biggest platform in the world. Maybe you shouldn't. Well, you can keep that. And turns, right? Looks at him for 13 seconds and turns and looks over to Jamie with that look. Like, yeah, of course that's going to be taken in a different way. Look at the world we live in, man.
Absolutely. I mean, it's
everybody who hates Joe Rogan fucking took that clip and they ran with it. Ran with it. And they were like, look at him. He's a terrible person.
Right.
And they were validated because everyone else is like, yeah.
Right. And also what it kind of makes me curious, what was he thinking? Obviously, he was just told, look, her job is to make everything a big deal. That's what she does. You can't blame her for it. It's what she does, So I'm kind of surprised that he but also I'm not surprised, I guess. He's pretty unfiltered.
Let me find her response to.
Oh yeah.
And listen, we're not playing the whole 8 minutes because it's
right.
It's 8 minutes long, and but we will listen to like probably the first minute and a half, I believe. She's trying to cancel Joe Rogan, basically, and she looks pretty rough in this video. Ready? Oh wait, no, that's not the one. Sorry. See, it's when I don't have a producer to do this for me. It takes time, guys. Sorry about that, but I wish I had a better producer too. Honestly, I'm just kidding. All right, so here we go. We got it here. All right, so she looks pretty rough in this video. I'm not gonna lie. Like she probably should have waited to make it because she's like peeling. And I'm not saying she looks pretty rough like physically. Like any like anything like that. She just you'll see. She has like a sunburn. And I don't I probably would have waited if I was her to like I don't know. I probably would have waited. But as you can see, like she's like you see her peeling and stuff. I probably would have I probably wouldn't have done that.
But also she has an OnlyFans.
No, yeah, but if some people don't know her and this is the first time they see her, they're gonna be thrown off guard and they're not gonna understand fully. Because she just looks she doesn't look like how she would normally look, right? And that's not a bad thing. Like, look, she's a real person. There you go. I guess that could be taken that way. She's a real person. She peels. She gets sunburns, and she just has an artificial turf in her backyard, so she's pretty rich. She's got this mansion, so she's a normal person, but she got a lot of money.
Yeah.
All right, so here we go.
Dear Joe Rogan podcast.
Can you hear it?
Thank you for providing me with some video content today. I woke up to an onslaught of tweets saying that I was mentioned by the Joe Rogan. Oh my God. Joe Rogan, #1 podcast downloaded on, I don't even know if that's even true anymore. I couldn't find him on YouTube. Apparently he's only on Spotify. I don't know. Look, you don't know me. I don't really know that much about you now. I mean, you were really popping on Fear Factor when I was a kid. Other than that, like, I don't know that much either. I could gather a little bit. I could do a little bit of research from the tweets that were coming my way from your followers and then people who just dislike you, which, hey, a lot of people dislike me too, so I'm not going to judge you on that. Here is... And I'm not going to go for the low blows. A lot of people called you an egg or a sperm on steroids. I don't go for low blows. Because even though you just men did. Like you who constantly tell me how disgusting and repulsive I am, I have what you may call low insecurity. And you may say, okay, but you have an OnlyFans, like it's fair game. And yeah, if you want to pay me $5, have at it. But the fact is, men going after women because they're not attractive. Oh, he said, and I quote, "You can keep that." So there's somebody off camera that's as soon as Ali Makovsky, shout out girl, who said she subscribes to my OnlyFans. And honestly, before we even get any further, thank you for the plug, Joe Rogan. They could have edited that out. And Ali, of course. That's my girl right there. She supports, she pays, she knows. She said I was a savage on OnlyFans, and honestly, I am. I don't know if this is a flex, what kind of flex. I show more than anybody. I'll show you. I'll open up my asshole. I don't care. Like open it up for criticism and all that stuff like that. And it's not because I'm the most confident bitch. Like, keep in mind, I know I'm a fat ass hoe, and thankfully for me, a lot of people like fat ass hoes. I make about.
Don't do it. Don't do it.
I say.
Yep.
But
please
at the height
don't.
of it, I made about $1 million a month. Just saying. And I still rake it in. And honestly, this morning when I woke up to all my new followers on onlytrish.com, it's only $5 a month to check out my naked house tour and my numerous amount of sex tapes that now that Pornhub is down, it's really hard to find. So thank you for joining onlytrish.com. Onlytrish.com, only $5 a month. Come see the savagery and the disgustingness that is me. And Joe Rogan couldn't even have the decency to at least put a picture of me. They're gonna like show the picture and mock me and be like, oh geez, like the guy off camera was just like, oh geez. Oh geez, here I am.
Oh man.
But what radiates from men, because this has happened.
Mind you that this video is 8 minutes long. So I wonder where it goes.
Who are not conventionally attractive. I don't look like Pamela Anderson in her prime in the 90s. I look like this. And I already hate myself a lot for it.
Oh, Jesus.
And it's fine. I can make
Yeah, so, okay, so, I mean, you get the gist of it, right?
Right.
You get the gist of it?
Yeah.
So, okay. And like, listen, like, I understand her point. I really do.
Mm-hmm.
I get it, right? It sucks to, like, have... actually, I don't get it because I've never had the biggest podcast in the world, you know, talk not shit, but like an open-end statement,
right,
about me. Because you could take that, you could have taken what Joe did as either way, but that doesn't look good for Joe. That doesn't look good for Joe. For you know, for all the people that claim that he's a toxic male, he's created a boys club. You know, like, yeah, if you're not, you know, a 00 waist, that you're not nothing. Like, I get where she's coming from.
Yeah.
However, I don't think it warranted what she, I don't think all the stuff that he said, like that one comment, I don't think translates into what she thinks that it was. I think she's taking the insults that she's received all her life and summing them up into what Joe said. You can keep that. I think she's doing the legwork for what he meant.
But that's exactly what both Joe and the guest he had on said she does. So for me,
Yeah.
I was like, that's kind of expected.
Okay. So,
the guest said, she's like, I follow her, I love her, but like, she does make a living on making a bigger deal out of things.
Yeah. So obviously she was going to use that as a she was going to take that and be like, well, the number, okay, so this is the way I would look at it from a business standpoint. The number one podcast mentioned me. All right, let's run with it. Right? Now we're going to get somewhere. Now we're going to get a little bit bigger. You know, she does pretty well, but like, she does pretty well for herself. Clearly like $1 million a month or something like that.
Yeah.
Like, that's crazy.
And totally, yeah. It's like she said, free publicity. She said it herself.
Yeah.
She said, thanks for mentioning it. You could have edited it out, but you know.
Yeah.
So
that's crazy. That's crazy.
Take it and run.
By the way, speaking of, you can follow us on Patreon for just $5 a month. You know, now that Pornhub's down, you can't really find us. You can't really find my sex tapes anymore, but you can come to onlypopculturecorner.com.
There you go.
$5 a month. Only $5 a month. And you will not get pictures of my butthole. That's for sure. You won't get those.
Naked house tour?
Nope. No naked house tours. No butthole pictures, but it's only $5 a month. Support the show.
Right. There you go.
See, if I was a woman, we'd already have if I was a woman and I just like showed cleavage a little bit, I feel like we would have a lot more. Cause and that's what I think. I find it like, listen, I have females in my life, right, that are maybe therapists. One of them was a therapist. You know, I don't think that's probably not going to work out or whatever. Or it didn't work out, I suppose, but it's, or I don't know. That's a different day. But you know, the way we spoke to each other, you know, we talked a lot about a lot of different things, and you know, like women want to be the women that are just average, everyday, you know, blue collar workers like us. You know, they get a bad rap because of the, you know, these girls on Instagram that literally like they make money off of just presenting their body, right? They just show off their body. They get all this money. And then there's other women that are fighting for equality, but you wonder why men objectify women. Not to say that's right in any case. It's not, but you wonder why. And it's like, well, we have these women and men do it too. I'm sure. But it's just like, it's a weird world that we live in.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's right. I don't think it's right to be doing that.
It's a world
OnlyFans.
filled with contradictions.
Yeah, OnlyFans is literally like, okay, pay and I'll show you everything, right?
Right.
Everything.
And I guess now I'm starting to see they're trying to change it into. I guess how DJ Khaled has an OnlyFans. I'm sure DJ Khaled is not. I hope, I pray he's not. Doing that stuff. But I think they're trying to now. OnlyFans is trying to move away from like, we're just
You're basically saying this. I am paying for the basic, most animalistic thing I can possibly pay for. My urge to reproduce and my sexuality, right? I want to see her naked. I will pay to do so, right? Okay, that's typically illegal, right? Like on the streets, that's illegal, right? But no, on the internet, it's different. Come on, like why? What are we doing here?
Yeah, it's
why are we like?
It's again, like I just said,
women are capitalizing. Okay, so women hate men, right? They think, male toxicity. They objectify us. But then then there's women that take it to a different level, and they say, okay, I'm going to capitalize on it. I'm going to give them what they want, but I'm going to make them pay for it.
It's a thing here. I don't really have much of an opinion, but on it, but I find it interesting. There's here in Vegas, in Nevada, prostitution is a thing, right? And it's one of those things there in certain parts of Nevada, it's legal. It's 100% legal. I don't think it is in Las Vegas, but in certain parts. And so that's the conversation is, we should make it legal in Las Vegas because these people, that's the way they make their living. That's the way they want to make their living. But it's also, it's an interesting, conversation.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I was reading one of this comment here. Jesus Christ. Ill life. You're out of your mind, man. I love it though. But yeah, so I don't know. That's a conversation for a different day. Actually might be a conversation for never to be honest. But yeah, so I mean, so bottom line, do you think Joe was wrong? Do you think he should have not done that?
Yeah. He probably
can you blame him for doing it?
He's one, and it's one of those things. He's got an audience that follows him, that they're gonna follow him. I almost guarantee you he probably didn't lose too many people.
I bet he didn't. I bet he only lost maybe 10
of his audience.
10 of his audience at that comment.
It wasn't hurt, right? Now the people that don't like him obviously made a bigger deal.
I think he probably lost the 10 after it became a big deal because they were like, "Oh God, I have to unsubscribe so I can look
right."
Good.
Because I'm a Joe Rogan fan. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things that it's like I personally disagree with it. I personally disagree with what he did, how he reacted. But I don't expect everybody to freak out and unfollow him. He's got that audience for a reason. It's the same thing with people, with everybody. It's the same thing. Donald Trump has his followers that are dedicated to him.
They are so dedicated. They're the most dedicated people in the world.
Exactly. And he can say whatever he wants and they'll still be right behind him. So, that's just kind of the place I think we're getting to.
Donald Trump's like the best example of saying things that you probably shouldn't.
Absolutely.
I've never met someone who's who literally just thinks things and then types them out and makes them real.
But he knows his audience, like just like Il said, he knows his audience isn't going anywhere. And in fact, he knows that the edgier he gets with his audience, they like it.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's very true.
As long as and these are people, Joe, Trump, all these people, they're been on TV, they've done marketing, they know strategies, so they cater to their audience. They're not, I highly doubt that they're fazed by any of, the reactions that that they don't like or all the hate,
Yeah, I guess I don't know, it just takes me back a little bit. But yeah, so Joe's been taking heat for a long time over the Spotify deal. I mean,
Yeah.
so do you think he should have went to Spotify? Should he be on Spotify?
I think it's one of those things, money, man. What would you do if Spotify offered $100 million to you, and said, hey,
Yeah, I would take it.
Absolutely. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I would take it. I think that's what he did. I think he took the deal.
Yeah, he did.
But the way he pitched it was that nothing was going to change, but it did.
That's probably what he shouldn't have done.
But it did. It did change.
Exactly. That's he shouldn't have said, "Oh, things aren't going to change," and blah blah blah. That's where he'll lose his audience. That's where he'll start to.
And the quality of guests has gone down because now think about this. Think about this. And we talked about this the other night. Think about this. So, all right. So he went to LA in 1994. He's been in LA since 1994. Right?
Right.
So he built a career in LA. Really big career. Whether it was Fear Factor, whether it was UFC, whether it was stand-up comedy, whatever. Built an audience, started a podcast really early on in podcasting. If not, so he's like the original podcast. He's like the PewDiePie of
basically, yeah,
of podcasting. And obviously podcasting started with Apple, right? So he was on Apple. Then he got on YouTube. Yada yada yada. The it goes on from there. And I think he was one of the first comedians to take his skills into a different, into an experimental thing, like podcasting, right? He was the first comedian to say oh, I think people want to hear what I have to say about, various topics. So let's do that. How do we do that? Okay, well, I can't get a late night show on network television, but I could start a podcast and I could, make a platform there. And he did.
Exactly.
So for many, almost 27 years, he's lived in LA and he's made a career for there himself. A lot of people have. His quality of guest was very up there, with amongst the best of the best, because it was in LA, right? Yeah. It was in the place that these people do their business.
He had everyone from Neil deGrasse Tyson to Robert Downey Jr.
Exactly. So if you're talent, right, and you have a new movie coming out and you're promoting it,
right,
you're gonna do the circuit in LA. You're not gonna take that same day and fly to Austin just to do Joe Rogan when you could stay in LA and do 4 podcasts and promote it 4 different places, right?
Exactly.
So naturally, his audience is going to decrease. I mean, his guest quality is going to decrease a little bit because people aren't going to want to go to Austin. Yeah, he has his comedian buddies on there, people that are loyal to Joe Rogan.
Right. The normal, the
the usual cases.
Joey Diaz and
actually Joey Diaz is not a normal. Joey Diaz is not a.
Really?
No, Bill Burr could be considered a normal. Tim Dillon could be considered a normal. Who's the other guys? Who are the other guys that are considered? So there's a few of them that are normals, right? There's 5 to 7 that are normals. And those guys are there on a regular basis.
Right.
But those are the guys he's also trying to get to move to Austin. So he wants to create a comedy scene in Austin. It's not a bad idea. It's not.
Right.
Austin is a what did Matt say? Matt said, quote, Austin is a blueberry in tomato soup, right? It's a blue state. It's a blue city in a red state.
Yeah.
A lot of liberals live there because it's a very artsy town. So,
right, and it's a college town. It's a college town,
right.
You know, it's a lot of young people, a lot of people in that mindset.
Right. So what he wants to do is smart, but I don't think it was smart for his podcast.
Yeah, I agree. I'm not sure that it was the best move for his show, but you know, we'll see. I do know there's a interesting little like filmmaker creative scene down in Austin. You know, but
it's very small.
It is very small.
It's not big enough to keep a podcast alive.
No way.
And Joe has done more political interviews as of lately.
Right.
Because of that.
Exactly.
So politicians are okay with flying to Austin to do that.
You're right. Yeah, exactly. They have no problem with
Politicians are fine with doing that because they're not being asked to go on 7 different podcasts in one day to promote a law that they're signing into legislation. It's just not the way it works. That's not the way it works. So I don't know. I don't think it was good for the podcast. I think it's good for what he wants to do, build a comedy scene down in Austin because there's a lot of young people. The town is very vibrant. I think that's a good idea. But is it good for the podcast? I don't think so. I don't think so. I do not think so. But that's okay because I do a podcast from Boston, but I do it like this. You're from Las Vegas.
Exactly. Yeah, it works.
Joe does not do shows like this where it's virtual. And the few times that he has done them, I don't find them to be as good. I would love for you to have you in this room with me. I think it's a better environment to have one camera looking like this and have you right here, right? That's obviously going to look more personable. You can feel the energy, you know, it's same background, you know, that's why Justice and I try to do the podcast in the same room. Exactly. It's because it gives it a different kind of energy. Yep. However, Justice doesn't like to show up to anything. So, you know, it is what it is, right? You got to live and you learn. I don't even think he knows what the studio looks like anymore.
It's been changed a few times.
It's been changed twice since he's been here.
Right.
That's a real fact. That's a straight out call out. So get your shit together. But yeah, so I mean, I think he took the money. But it's caused a little bit of censorship.
Absolutely.
You know,
absolutely.
So,
and we'll see how he responds, if he responds.
If he does.
Last
thing today, guys, release the Ayer cut trended. It had an event on Friday. What do you think about that? What do you think about release the Ayer cut? Something we should do?
Absolutely. I mean, it's one of those things where I'm like, you know, are we going to start calling for every cut of the movies, blah, blah, blah. But
really?
I don't know. Super boxes.
He likes when everyone has their own space.
I think audiences have adapted to that because that's been the thing the last year. Exactly, because of the pandemic.
And for me, right now, I get to have my name under this, and it's for me, and I get to have your name under here, and it's for you. And we are 2 different people. We have 2 different boxes. We have 2 different name tags. It looks visually, aesthetically pleasing, and I get it, right? Because look at this, and I don't like this about StreamYard. Or I don't like this about streaming softwares in general, right?
Yeah.
Because look at this, ready? If it's just me, I take up the whole box. I don't like that. Because I would have to do this just to have a background.
And you can't make yourself smaller to give yourself that
I can't
background.
make myself smaller, yeah.
Got it.
So like
I like that. Exactly. Okay, I get it.
Yeah, so I mean like this, right? Yeah, I created an overlay and I can have it around me. But I don't think it feels as good as having the background as well as this, right? This looks really this looks good, right? The way it is right now, right? You got the banner at the bottom. You got the 2 boxes. Unfortunately, I use the ones that I can do this with. So it has, see how that little space bar is down there?
Right.
And it's for these.
There we go.
Right? So I can fit those both. But it covers my name tag. But people know who I am, I suppose.
Yeah.
Like in terms of people who watch the show, they know who I am. But whereas Austin is
I'm the
still
new guy.
new. So, and then you get the live thing on top. You have new shows every week. It says the wrong time because that's the time that we're going to try to start, but I'll fix that eventually.
Right.
And this looks visually, aesthetically pleasing.
It does. I agree. I like it.
I do understand that, but it's something about the vibe when you're in the same room.
Right. Exactly. That is something too. That is really cool. But
so go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, release the Ayer cut. I mean, I think it's one of those things where I don't know about you, but if you remember like the first Comic-Con trailer for Suicide Squad, I still to this day am like convinced that's one of the best trailers that's like ever been put out there.
The first Suicide Squad from Comic-Con, yeah.
The very first trailer.
The one that had just the Joker in it at the end.
Yes.
Saying, yes. And it was very eerie.
And it was I started a joke.
Yeah, I started a joke one, yep.
Oh,
it
man.
blew up. It blew up.
Oh, man. I was like, this is going to be a dark DC, And it was obviously the movie was, much like Justice League, very not with that trailer.
Not put together well.
Exactly. So, and also too, as a filmmaker fan, it's one of those things. I'm a massive fan of David Ayer. And he wrote Training Day. He wrote Fury. He wrote some of like the best action thrillers, of the last few years. And it's hard for me to believe that script was his. That the theatrical cut was that all that was his. So yeah.
But here's the thing: if I never get David Ayer Suicide Squad, I probably won't lose sleep.
Right.
I probably won't. I'll be honest with you. I probably won't lose sleep. And I'm telling you, if I didn't get the Snyder cut, eventually I wouldn't have lost sleep.
Eventually.
Like at first I was kind of aggravated. I wanted it. But if they just kept saying no, at one point you feel defeated. You're like, all right, I'm over it. I'm over it. Exactly. If I never get David Ayer Suicide Squad, I'll live. I'll be disappointed, but I'll live. I'll live.
Exactly.
But I think David Ayer as a creator, I love Bright. I love all Training Day. I love all these movies that he's been a part of. And I think he's a very talented director. But I think that he's got more in him than just Suicide Squad. So, okay, move on. Create the next Training Day, right? Give us another movie that we can. I liked Bright. I would love to see a sequel to Bright.
I think they are, and I think they're developing a sequel to Bright.
Yeah, Bright was like the first big original Netflix movie. And like Netflix studio movie. And then I thought it was really the concept was there for me was great. I like movies that are a little bit more mystical or have something like I wouldn't see it if I just walked out the door. And those are the movies that I tend to latch on to because I couldn't just walk out the door and see it. Right?
Exactly.
Like movies that are just like cop movies that if I watched Channel 5, I could get some of that,
Right.
Those movies don't excite me as much.
Yeah, exactly.
But something with like a dragon. Now
you're interested, exactly.
Yeah, now we're talking about language.
It was good. I enjoyed it. It's one of those that I want to see more. The first one, I think I would have liked to see more in the first one, but I understand whatever budget or whatever.
Do you think we'll ever see David Ayer Suicide Squad? You're breaking up a little bit. You're Matt Jarbo in.
Yeah, you did too for me. Okay.
Yeah. It's you know what it is? It's not us.
Okay.
It's the new server that StreamYard's working with. I looked into it after Matt kept saying it, and I was like, is Matt just blaming StreamYard? I looked into it. They really did switch servers.
Yeah.
And it's been causing problems for a lot of people.
Got it.
A lot of people.
Yeah, because you broke out for me too. So what did you ask?
Will we ever see David Ayer Suicide Squad?
I highly doubt it.
Yeah, honestly.
Highly doubt it. But, again, it's one of those things. I probably like 2 years into the calls for the Snyder Cut when I'd see it and stuff. I still was like, I don't think this is going to happen.
Yeah, there wasn't a point where I said, I'm going to keep fighting for it, but I really don't. I really don't think. I was like, I almost took it like this. I thought the Snyder Cut was like this mythic epic that was going to unite a fandom. And we would always be united because of it, but we would never get it. That's the way I looked at the Snyder Cut. It was like, it was not something that was ever going to be real, but
Right.
just the thought of it being real was uniting us and allowing us to do good things.
Yeah.
So when you look at it like that, that's actually not bad, right?
And look, and you have to understand. I completely understand. That's the reason why yesterday, when they asked Zach, would you return? He didn't say flat out no. I mean, look at all the good that these fans, and he said straight up, he says, I would never dismiss, restore the Snyderverse. He says he looks at it as a reverence for the work, and he would never dismiss that, and that's totally understand. Yeah, so yeah, keep calling for. I agree that they should keep calling for the Ayer cut, keep doing the good work and stuff, and that's the important part,
Yeah, and just because it's David Ayer and he doesn't have any direct ties to, or maybe he does and we just don't know about it. Not to say we could keep donating to AFSP or find a new charity to kind of link to that movement, do some good for it, do some good for something out of it. However, if we don't ever get David Ayer Suicide Squad, I think we can all use this as a time to unite under an umbrella and do some good for maybe some people that wouldn't have been done well or done good for, besides it, without it, whatever.
Exactly.
So, but I don't think that we should get discouraged if it never happens.
Yeah.
And I asked this question yesterday to Lightcast in the Culture Nerd. Do we need to restore the Snyderverse in order to be DC fans going forward? Like, if they never restore the Snyderverse or consider doing another Snyder-helmed DC project, are we going to enjoy DC movies? Why not? I'm going to. I know that. I'm not going to dismiss DC if they don't decide to do it.
Right. I'm going to say I want to, but absolutely. Again, like I said, I wasn't too crazy about Wonder Woman 1984. Wasn't too crazy, so, I want to, but yeah, I think they still need to, whether Snyder's there or not, they gotta get a plan. That's the main thing.
So maybe we don't ever get David Ayer Suicide Squad, but I do think, in terms of the Snyderverse, I do think it would be a step forward in restoring the Snyderverse because it definitely takes place in that Snyderverse. It very much so sets Justice League up, and I think that would have been a cool 2-for-1 if they had said, okay, well, these movies are kind of, sort of, maybe linked together. Maybe we need to do a reshoot and link them a little further, but it would have been a good, nice 1-2 combo.
I don't see, and I think probably that's the biggest thing that Warner Brothers could and should do is at the most they can say is, look, we're not going to bring Zach back, or whatever, but his Justice League is now canon. We're going to work off of that, that I think for me as a fan, I'd be like, okay, cool.
Okay.
Now I get to see I get to see the other movies coming forward reference the Justice League that I know and love,
Yeah.
And so that, like you said, I'm not saying obviously the dream come true, Zach's back, everything, but I think that would be the smartest, because it doesn't cost Warner Brothers anything to do that.
Right. The film's practically completed.
And it's practically made itself canon itself by the fans. The fans of themselves go, we consider this canon.
Yeah, the Ayer cut. So the Ayer cut is practically done. It always was done.
Right.
Not like Zack Snyder's Justice League, which needed several, a lot of millions of dollars to complete, whereas David Ayer's, which David Ayer's, it was completed the way it was supposed to be. However, the studio went and after and was like, we need to not use this. Like, this is too dark. This is not what we want, David. Unfortunately, unfortunately, Warner Brothers is like that, and I think going forward, they're learning their lesson. But it's too little, too late for some movies, and David's movie might be one that we never get. But I think it would be an easy win for HBO Max as an original. You don't have to pay any money. You release it the same way you release Zach's, right? Zach's movie didn't change anyone's like any of the DC fans that liked Justice League. It didn't change their minds that they liked Justice League. It just gave them a different option.
And really, you think about the small things like, okay, I understood Mira had an accent, and kind of mainly the Aquaman stuff was really the only thing that was a little out of continuity. But like, I think we can all get over that. Yeah. I think we can all look past that and just kind of go, oh, that's a little blip in the system. Will make it. I see way more harm in not making it canon and just letting it be this elsewhere, cul-de-sac thing.
I hate that word.
I hate it. Yeah, like, isn't that the worst? Like, what does that even mean?
Yeah.
I just I think that saying that and doing that does more harm to Warner Brothers, DC, all the DC fans, because they're looking at it in a way of like, I'm not too interested in what's coming,
Yeah.
So,
but yeah, I mean, we can talk more about it as it progresses, and hopefully, maybe when is the AT&T investors call?
I think it's this week sometime.
Yeah, if you can find that out for me, let me know.
Yeah,
well, maybe we can cover it on that same day. But even if they use Zach's direction without Zach, I don't think I can just be cool and support it. It's right.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, I understand that. I understand your viewpoint, and
right,
and I get that. I do. But I mean, we have to be willing to make some compromises. Maybe Zach could be used like George Lucas, where they bring him in to produce it and to oversee it be done. But
I mean, I know he had no creative involvement, but I mean, he was still a producer on Wonder Woman. He was 1984.
But yeah,
I know he had no creative involvement, but give him a little bit, a little bit of creative involvement, and then that producer credit.
Yeah. But yeah, so as the story progresses, we will obviously keep you updated, and we'll talk more about it when it becomes relevant. I think release the Ayer cut. I think a lot of people from the Snyder Cut movement have a hard time jumping on it because they think that they're pushing too far. But just know that you're not. You're just letting Warner Brothers know that you're interested in this universe. So keep pushing, keep fighting, keep donating to AFSP or whatever charity that you feel is necessary to do some good along with fighting for something that you want to see. Because remember, as a stakeholder, because you're not a shareholder in the company, but you're a stakeholder, right? So you kind of have a say in what you see because you're paying for it. So Just remember, you always have a dog in the fight. So always keep fighting. I don't think that we should ever stop letting them know that the Snyderverse is something that we want, because it also allows them to know or to understand what are the content that the audience is looking for right now. Darker like Snyder or lighter like J.J. Abrams? Like which way should we go? Well, we have to tell them like, hey, we're preferring the Snyderverse, right? So that's a little bit darker and edgier and stuff like that. But like I said, guys, thank you so much for tuning in today. I had a good time.
A nice Sunday chat.
Nice Sunday chat. Definitely get the brain juices flowing,
Right. And the investment call is April 22nd. So
April 22nd, baby. What time?
Thursday. You asked a follow-up question. 7 a.m. Eastern Standard.
I'll buy a couple. I'll buy a couple AT&T stocks so we can listen in.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah.
There we go.
All right.
And then Mortal Kombat at the end of this week, which for me is that's my highlight.
I know. Wait,
Mortal Kombat all week, baby. All week.
Oh shit. We're supposed to be doing that movie at Showcase.
Oh.
Wow. I didn't even know it was a week away. Oh no.
Friday, baby. He was like, uh-oh.
Yeah, we have no idea what we're doing. My God. All right, well, stay tuned for that. We'll probably be covering Mortal Kombat at the theater, just like we do for most big tentpole films. So stay tuned. I'll let you guys know what's going on for that. But we'll be going live from Showcase. Be Showcase safe and live your life a little bit less frustrated when you're at the movie theaters. All right, guys. Thank you for showing up today. To everyone who's watching in the future, let me know if I should purchase stocks anywhere. Guys, make sure to like, subscribe, share your thoughts and opinions. Without the audience, the show doesn't exist. So you guys are the lifeblood, and we do it for you, and we do it for the culture. Austin,
that's right.
You wanna final thoughts?
That's it.
Go
to the movies this week, guys. Go to a theater. That's my final thoughts. Join our Patreon, and tell us what you want more of. That's it.
Hell yeah.
Make your dreams come true. Just do it.